educators and Science Scope readers. I'd like to share a lesson I designed in order to improve student understanding of cell structure and to encourage learners to confidently work with technology and science tools in order to gather evidence. I ultimately wanted this lesson to address some broad questions that students commonly have when they're learning about cells. These questions include, what do cells actually look like, and do all of the cells in our body look the same? Here are some aspects of the next generation science standards that are aligned with this lesson. You can see that students are asked to carry out an investigation in which they compare and contrast plant and tissue samples that I provide with microscope slides. You'll also notice the cross-cutting concept of patterns. Students are asked to recognize patterns that animal cells seem to have in common and patterns that plant cells seem to have in common. Lastly, students are going to take the information that they gather through their investigation and use it to construct an evidence-based argument.
In the Cells on Mars activity, students are using microscopes to look at authentic samples of plant and animal tissue. They will use this to compose a profile where they are looking at similarities and differences between those two cell types. Students have no prior experience, so they're using their observations to determine those similarities and differences. One crucial step in that process is recording their observations. I used, or had students use their devices to actually hold the camera about half an inch above the eyepiece, and if you have a steady hand and some patience, you might get a decent image of that object, those cells. Students would then save this to their drive, their Google Drive, and then from there you can import it into the Google Doc, and that is where students are composing their cell profiles.
In order to captivate my students and motivate them to do some exploring, I provide a fictional prompt. According to this news story, the Mars rover Curiosity has beamed to Earth photos of Martian cells captured under a microscope. I'd like to take you now to my classroom in order to show you the type of work students will carry out in order to identify this mystery tissue.
So when students are ready to carry out their Cells on Mars lab, they're going to have a setup here. They're going to have access to a variety of plant cells, a variety of different animal cells, compound light microscope. We integrate a little technology in this lab, so they'll need some sort of personal device that can take photos, internet connectivity, and then we use Chromebooks in this school in order to edit documents. So what students are going to do is they need to gather and look for patterns in several plant cells, gather and look for patterns in several animal cells using the observations that they make through their light microscope. All of these observations, all these pieces of data are uploaded into the Google document, so it's all digital. A technique that I implement in this lab is using the personal device to take a photo of a slide or a specimen. It takes a very steady hand, but if you keep your camera just a little bit away from the eyepiece, you can get a decent image. And then using the Google Drive and the Google Docs app, this could be uploaded directly to here, where students can edit and send it to me when they're done.